Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are streaming Shadowverse and talking about video game news and games coming out on Steam. Um, well, usually I was streaming Magic the Gathering Arena. On Monday, I went back to streaming Hearthstone, which I streamed for 5 years before that point, and I just felt like it was a little bit too much of a step backwards just to go back to Hearthstone after that point. So in the meantime, I was able to play Shadowverse and get through the initial setup. There's a ton of solo single adventures that I will be pre-recording and putting out as a series. But as for the collectible card game that I'm going to play, so I can be a little bit distracted and talk about the news and take my time, I think we're going to try Shadowverse. It works pretty well. It's a super popular, from the looks of it, Japanese game. Super popular, at least in Japan, as collectible card games. All the characters are cutesy, kind of anime characters. It doesn't go too YouTube family unfriendly in any way. You see some characters that have like nice legs and maybe a little bit of cleavage, but I really wouldn't be upset with even a 13-year-old playing this game, at least for the ludity of it. It has a mobile app, which Magic the Gathering Arena never had. In retrospect, it was just so easy to stop playing Magic the Gathering once they suspended me for 7 days for doing something I fully argue I was absolutely not doing. Apparently, I may have had some network trouble, or they just randomly decided to do something. There is also possibly a little bit of safety in playing a game that is based off Steam. So Shadowverse might have that protection, whereas Hearthstone and Magic Arena had their own accounts and their own people that were kind of accountable to nobody. And as a YouTube content creator, I can't have a 7-day ban, and I absolutely wouldn't cheat because I don't care about these card games enough to cheat. I like winning like anyone else, certainly, but it's not worth my time to have to spend the 6 to 7 extra hours I had to spend to find a new collectible card game. I went through 3 or 4 of them, seeing if there was one that I really wanted to play, and those will all be spotlights that air on my channel eventually, probably sometime around November or December. So yeah, that it's just not beneficial to try to cheat. There are slightly different daily quests in Shadowverse. Right now there's kind of this arena tournament where you're supposed to play every day, but as far as your actual daily mission, you just have like one daily mission, and it doesn't really seem like it stacks, or if it does stack, it kind of does the same thing. There's a kind of interesting monetization in that pretty much nothing actually costs money only, and the amount of the premium currency versus the amount of gold is the same. So if you have to spend 460 premium currency to buy something, you can spend 460 of the game currency. I have yet to really figure out the amount you actually will get in total doing daily quests. This game is a little bit older than I normally would like, and my goal still is to play the Marvel collectible card game when it comes out in the beta, or as early as I can play it when Second Dinner actually releases that game. But that could be 6 months from now, that could be a year from now, that could be 2 years from now. But this is about a 4-year-old game, so I'm pretty far behind from the looks of it. I'm guessing it's about a 4-year-old game. We have Max on the chat saying, good to see you again, dude. Hi, Max. Yeah. YouTube is crazy. let me just comment on that. I haven't gone anywhere. I've been almost 100% consistent of streaming on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I've been terribly inconsistent as to what times I stream on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But if you, theoretically, if you were subscribed to my channel and you had ring the bell, theoretically you should have been seeing all the streams. But absolutely would not shock me one bit if you weren't getting notifications from YouTube. YouTube is just crazy and dumb. So let's just hop in here. I don't think I've even played any multiplayer up until this point, so we have this little tutorial thing. In multi, you battle against other players through a network connection. These battles require a good signal in order to work correctly. There are two formats to choose from, unlimited or rotation. Rotation is just like the 5 most recent expansions of the card game. You can use the 5 latest card sets and basic cards in rotation format. This format is recommended for new players. Unlimited is a dynamic play format that lets you use all available cards. Your rank is determined by competing with others players in ranked matches. You'll be ranked separately for playing in rotation and unlimited, respectively. Create a private match to play against a specific player. Okay. So, we'll just start at beginner 0. We'll go into rotation. And I have these auto-crafted decks that I'm not sure I really want to play them. I think I want to play these default decks first. And I've been playing a lot of the Forest Craft deck, so I don't think I really want to play that. Each of the 8 heroes here have a different craft. And so this is like Alchemy Craft, this is Forest Craft, I think this is Dragon Craft, this is like Necromancy Craft, this is like Dragon Craft, this is Haven Craft, as in like Heaven Craft, but translated. I don't remember this one or this one, so we'll just click on it. Yeah, she's Swordcraft. There are other heroes and other card backs you unlock, but there's really only 8 classes of characters, much like Hearthstone, where they had Druid and Warriors and such, and that gives you different kinds of cards. But I'm not sure that there isn't just a lot of times the same cards with just different arts on them, which is fine. You tend in Shadowverse more than Hearthstone to not play as many cards. There's only 1 row and it can only have 5 things in it. There's, if you go second, you can evolve a creature 3 times. Every creature can be evolved once. And sometimes they have effects when they're evolved, sometimes they just increase their attack and defense. And if you go first, you can only evolve twice. And that's on a cooldown. There's no other real hero abilities except for these. Like this is trait, which I don't know what that really does. I've never played this before. So I'm going to have to do a lot of looking. So this has ambush, which I believe you can click on to see. Followers with ambush can't be targeted by spells, amulets, or followers. Yeah, there's also spells and amulets you can play. So I can play this on the second turn and have it protected from attack. The games go fairly quickly in Shadowverse, except for there is a kind of unique system of attrition that you would kind of expect wouldn't happen, and yet it does. So, yeah, there's definitely some weirdness with that, because you can way more often than most collectible card games, just go for the face. And you have not a lot of cards. The decks are a little bit smaller. You start with like 40. And you start with 20 health. And but very often it is just smarter to optimize here. They have summoning sickness, so you can't attack the first time.
Let's speed things up.
This guy doesn't have summoning sickness because he has Storm. And because he has Storm, he can attack the hero directly. Whereas if he had Rush, he would only be able to attack followers.
Should have been quicker. Now, let's have a look-see.
There's definitely kind of a shift. There's kind of a shift where if I'm mostly talking about Chinese and anime games, which let's face it, there are just a ton of those that come out on a day-to-day basis on Steam. Playing Shadowverse also just plays into that, and we are getting home to a dangerous point where this just becomes the weeaboo hour, if you know that phrase, or the Japanophile hour, which I used to be a big Japanophile, but I don't feel like I still really fall down that category. So I would want to try to be a little cautious of that. So play this, give a +2 to this, and then evolve this.
You are done for.
I shall overcome all.
The timer is a little weird here. Max very kindly gifted me a game called Ben and Ed. He's asking in the chat, talking about games, where is Ben and Ed? Ben and Ed, I recorded a couple episodes and then I very softly rage quit it because of the controls of the game. I just found it frustrating. Those episodes will air in October, I believe starting in October 1st, but in the Halloween month series, that was really just about as early as I could schedule them. But yeah, I enjoyed being able to criticize Ben and Ed, but I also kind of knew, and this is true for a lot of the games on my wish list, that there are definitely games that the first look, the spotlight, the small short amount of playing is the only amount of time I would want to invest in things. Sometimes you just want a bite of cake. Sometimes you want to eat the entire cake type mentality. And there's usually when I play games, I try not to rage quit them or leave them unfinished. But I definitely got far enough to get a general idea of the game and its quality. I didn't make it to the second boss, but I probably was fairly close to that. But I didn't make it past the first boss. It definitely was a game that if I did not soft rage quit it early, I would have gotten much more frustrated with it and had a lot more criticism to say about it. But all criticisms aside, I still very much appreciate and am happy whenever a game is gifted to me, and don't want to sound like an ingrate at all.
Let's speed things up.
That is inherently always the danger of asking people to gift games to me, is that as a video game critic, I might very well just say something more negative than what the people who gift a game to me would want to hear. Max says, yeah, the wall laser level sucks, I know. I've actually been through so many games since Ben and Ed, I couldn't even really guarantee accuracy in mentioning what specific part killed me or irritated me. I definitely hated the section where you were under a spotlight, and if you were even a little bit outside of the spotlight, you would get sniped by like a laser, if that's the wall laser section. But there's just kind of some core problems, I would say, with Ben and Ed, and the fact that it has these like Unity store pre-bought animations where the zombie Ed like can emote and move, but when it comes down to actually tweaking the game and testing it and programming it right, I just don't feel like they put the effort into that. Instead, they seemingly tried to sell the game as one of those frustration games that YouTubers like to stream to get views, and then they play up like it's so difficult, but actually doable, when really I'd say Ben and Ed is just like missing some major elements, missing some variety. I did watch the ending on YouTube and watch a speed run and of someone play the whole thing. Well, I just played that for 0. That was stupid of me. See, I'm not sure the daily quest in this actually required me to win. It may just require me to play. But yeah, even watching a speedrunner play it, the speedrunner was very often ripping off the head of the zombie character and throwing it through glitched holes in the walls to miss entire sections. Oh yeah, I do recall now, there was a lot of sections in Ben and Ed 2 where it felt like the creator was just giving me the middle finger, because it would give me like a really hard section and then no checkpoint after that hard section, and then it would give you maybe an easy section and still no checkpoint, and then it would give you another hard section. So if you're having trouble on that third section, logically you would think there would be a checkpoint in between each of those, but no, there isn't. And so you would have to go back and do the hard section all over again, and just the repetitiveness of it was really getting to me. Let's see.
My lord.
Yeah, Max says, yeah, the spotlight sucks too. Yeah. When you have a game that has probably about 20 levels and you can say that 2 major parts of at least 2 of the levels suck. There was also like a random generation level section that just seemed broken. That it would generate levels that only half the time you could actually even make the first jump. And yeah, there's just a... See, we need to win 3 matches, ranked, unranked, or arena. I also need to play arena, so we'll try. See, if I hit battle again, will that jump me to this? No. good. We can switch out and try everything once with the default decks. But I honestly wouldn't be surprised if there is little chance of success, even with the default decks.
I guess you're looking for a fight.
Yeah.
Is fighting and despair all you know?
The playfields in this game are interactive, somewhat. Let's see. So you can interact with them. See, this one has spell boost as an ability. The number of times each card has spell boosted. So each hero has their own system. This interface, I would say, is way better designed for mobile. The only thing I would say is I did play one collectible card game that instead of having a hero, it put a headquarters card just on the field always, and that would have helped save the square footage here. But this does a fairly good job of letting you click on the cards and just cover up the hero, because you really don't need that ability. It's also just an incredible amount of options that you have in the game. Like, you can change what the mouse buttons do, you can change a lot of the animations and stuff, you can mute things that are very basic, but then custom mouse controls are not basic at all. In fact, I think I probably will eventually change the custom mouse controls, because I keep wanting to right click and look at the cards, and it doesn't do that. You have to like left click on them to look at them, and when it depicts it, because it's for mobile phones, it's just showing you the important stuff instead of showing you the art, which is really what you would want. This game has a battle log directly integrated, and the resolution is adjustable on the text size, and it is super readable. They really have a lot compared to even Hearthstone, but inherently I will have to say that Shadowverse probably not as popular, and never gonna be as popular as what Hearthstone can do, because Activision Blizzard just has all the money in the world. And they pushed out a lot of advertisement, and they had a lot of hype even before they did bother to really advertise anything. Let's see. +1/+1. If I do that and play this artifact, spell boost. I don't know how spell boost works. When you play a spell, the spell boost abilities of your cards in the hands activate. There are several different ways that cards gain power. So I don't know how specifically this spell boost deck works.
I live by the sword.
Abracadabra! Abracadabra!
And that character has Ward, which is effectively Taunt. And there's a lot more just math kind of in this game,
I live by the sword.
where you want to just maximize the amount of usefulness of your cards instead of trying for crazy combinations. It's a kind of a simpler system than I think you would run into compared to Magic or Hearthstone. Let's see. Here we have a 4, a 2/6, which with Ward.
Light upon the land.
which I can evolve to a 4/8 with Ward.
Luminescence. Abracadabra.
We can just attack here.
Abracadabra. No.
And this has Rush, so
Shining hope.
I can go ahead and attack.
Wait, that's it?
There's probably, very quickly, I'm going to need to turn down the voices, because you often play lots and lots of copies of the same cards, and so you hear the shout out voices quite a bit. Alright, as for the accountability section, now that we've basically gotten the basics of this new card game down and explained that that's what I'm going to try and play now, and maybe in just some weird way that I'll actually get some YouTube views from that would be nice. But I am not holding my breath, I'll say that much. Do this, but I should do
How much
this.
is in it for me?
Should play these two.
How much is in it for me?
As far as the accountability section, otherwise, I've been, of course, playing Shadowverse. I also did a spotlight on a game called Cards, K-A-R-D-S, which is a free-to-play game with, instead of fantasy characters, it is World War II characters, weapons of war, battalions. Cards is very interesting, except for the fact that it's not interesting to me. Like, that's a very backhanded compliment, I know, but it really is the case. The game concept intrigued me a little bit, but I felt like it was a fairly nice, as far as its monetization concept. Well, I don't know why this activated its spell boost, but I have its spell boost activated. What? Apparently I can't cast that. Why is it glowing then? It's doing something. It's lowering the cost of this one. Subtract 1 from the cost of this card. So apparently spell boost is just whenever you cast a spell. That's what activates it. Okay. But I really can't play this because I only have 2. I can't play this because he doesn't have any heroes on the field. He has a whole bunch of amulets on the field.
Iron my fair share.
They played pretty badly. I also did a spotlight on Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links.
I've prevailed again.
I got 300 XP there, which is interesting because the solo stuff really only gives you like 1, maybe 200 XP. So that's one of the 3 daily victories they want you to get. Shadowverse, the solo parts are pretty long, so I didn't want to do any more. So I also started playing a very old PC game called Pushover, where you play as this little ant pushing over
This one's for my
dominoes.
family.
And
Father,
I'm gonna get that done in like 3 episodes, and frankly, before even the second episode had started, a lot of the puzzles in that, as far as domino pushover patterns, were more difficult and kind of unfair than I would like. Also, I heard that YouTube is removing several features from the playlist function. Particularly in my case, the one that I would miss is the auto ad function, because I had plans on using that where I was going to label all my old videos as to whether they started with the letter A, B, C, D, all the way through Z, and then think about migrating my playlist, which I have a decent amount of playlists, away from having individual playlists for every game and more into having collections of playlists by alphabetical, or both. I wasn't really sure. But since they're taking away that feature, I'm hoping they will grandfather in existing playlists. So I had to go through and make a whole bunch of playlists that are private at the moment to have the auto add function enabled in them. This symbol is a death touch symbol, so if you do battle with it, it will die.
What a drag.
No matter what. So this guy's ability is Overflow, and it activates on the 7th turn, or when you have 7 play points, which is what you get. It's kind of like Hearthstone, no lands or any way to really increase your mana too much. You just get a new play point every turn. So 6 damage to an enemy follower, no thanks. And if I evolve this guy, he's not really the guy to evolve, I think. Because this guy will just attack him and kill him. I'm not sure if I really did anything else. I'm still having just a weird summer in general. Everybody's having a weird summer for sure, but my insomnia just has me in this weird position where I'm awake, then I'm asleep, and then I'm awake again, then I'm asleep again, and there's like no consistency with it, and no great explanation as to when I have enough energy or when I'm awake long enough to record anything or do anything. I still have a few videos that need to be scheduled, and then I need to hope that my macro that I built will work. I think we're safe here to play this and then evolve it.
Gone. Don't.
And that lets me take that out.
You're a solid fighter.
Doesn't matter, I lost anyways. If I had stayed alive one more turn, this would have had the ward ability to block attacks. Yeah, there is a weird onboarding with this game where you need to spend probably a good 10 hours doing the solo adventures to just get a general idea of what the cards do and to upgrade the level of your characters. The only other collectible card game I've had where the heroes have a level was Hearthstone, but I maxed out that level on those heroes after like 3 years, so it was kind of silly. Kind of silly that was still a thing and they never increased the level there. They only very, very late after I quit playing added a Demon Hunter class that I guess you could play as the Demon Hunter for 60 hours and potentially potentially get that up to level 60. So this gives you shadows, which seem to not be actual cards, but instead they seem to be some kind of currency. Let's see what else. Is there anything else to talk about before we get start covering the news? I don't think so. Rocket League is going free to play in the summer. That'll probably be news we talk about more directly, but they're also going to be toning down their Steam presence, which when they made the announcement, if you'd ever played Rocket League, you're going to get like a special badge, and they're going to give you all the Rocket League DLC and a few other rewards if you bought the game. But they definitely are trying to go free to play, and when they launch on the Epic Games Store, it is kind of going to be an interesting experiment, and it's an experiment that I'm not sure people are going to appreciate while they're in the middle of it, but it might be an interesting experiment as far as where games should revalue themselves after a couple years. There's been plenty of games that are still way too expensive. The 1992 game Pushover that I was playing sells for $5, an old DOS game with 100 puzzles in it, and is just being run off of DOSBox with no real improvements at all. Like, that's very much way too expensive, and only people with a large amount of nostalgia should even begin to consider playing Pushover or owning Pushover.
You're done for. Luminescence.
Rocket League in a lot of ways probably should have been free to play to begin with. This gives ward to an allied fighter. This destroys an enemy follower, and this would let me summon a lich. Necromancy. If you have enough shadows, they're automatically spent to activate necromancy effects. Okay, good. So this should work.
My lord.
So now we have a lich, a 4/4 lich. Yeah, we could evolve to a 6/6 if we wanted to. Yeah.
You're mean.
What'll be interesting, I suppose, is Rocket League was very much about crossplay and promoting crossplay. Now they're kind of going in a little bit of a different direction, going free to play. There becomes this next question, I suppose, about 3 damage to enemy follower, destroy enemy followers. I think this is pretty much what you want to do. Just give ward when evolved. Nope, let's just evolve this one.
Protect for all eternity out of the way! I feel life is too dear.
Unbelievable.
So, yeah. Yep. It'll be interesting to see if Rocket League goes free to play on the Switch or other consoles.
I feel slushy.
Because really it should be free to play on the Switch, but then free to play becomes this other issue, certainly, in which it might be fairly gross about its monetization. And I wouldn't say Rocket League has been incredibly gross about its monetization, but it has been kind of gross about it. There's just been a lot This one has Bane.
Lonely.
And you don't get any more points until later. And that did 5, and you don't get that choice. Interesting. So that didn't work for me at all.
Come out wherever you are. Want to play?
Just go ahead and evolve this
Just want someone to
so it
I
can
go with
attack
you?
and win. Alright, so let's talk about games we have coming out. Vargas the Riven Realms looks like an RPG game. Oh, I guess I should mention there is a couple of reports of a couple of games that were not allowed on Steam. Again, they are anime visual novel games that are adult content, and again, they seem to have at least one character that's either in a school outfit or looking particularly young. What I suspect is happening, since Steam is being consistently inconsistent here as far as what they're doing, I think what I would guess is happening is that there's sometimes one person
On the line.
where you just get they are specifically rejecting those games, and that one person, if their rejection gets appealed, it goes right back to that same person and they just double down on it. That would be my guess, is that there's effectively kind of a rogue mod, maybe not so rogue as Valve just doesn't seem to have any rules or consistency anyways. Because on a daily basis, we see games that are just full of adult content and nudity that are allowed on for at least a second. So, so you would think if there are people getting rejected, why are the other people not getting rejected? That would be my main question. Summon 2 zombies. See, now if this was evolved, it was a 6/6. If I do this, I could just attack
Wanna join us?
the leader and probably win. It's not a good system. And this is typically how these games tend to go, is that you, by about round 10, you do have a war of attrition where you've played all your cards, and whoever has just slightly played better at that point wins.
This ends here. Luminescence.
As for Vargas the Riven Realms, it's $26.99 in English. That seems way too expensive for the level of animation I'm seeing in this RPG. So I'm not gonna bother to put it on the follow list. Let's see. Deal 3 damage. Let's get deal 5 damage instead.
My lord.
Then play this.
The king reigns again.
Then end the turn. Let's see. The Ubisoft story seems like it's not going anywhere. TechRaptor has a continuation of that. A French union, Solidaires Informatique, is going to sue Ubisoft over harassment. And if it's anything like the last time a French union sued a company, their odds are good that they will succeed. Also, there's stories saying that the higher ups just literally said that the Assassin's Creed, not Origins, but Assassin's Creed Odyssey could not have a female lead, and that would definitely explain why there was a female and a male option, and the male option was written considerably worse by all reports. I'm just gonna do a face race here. That should work. Yeah, it does seem like with more and more bits of information, either mudslinging has gotten way more effective than I've ever known it to be, or Ubisoft is upper management is definitely in the wrong, and they knew this was gonna. They knew stuff was happening for a very long time. I guess I come from kind of a different perspective in the fact that, like, the whole Black Lives Matter thing and just institutionalized racism in the United States, like, that's been fairly obvious if you've been paying attention in the United States. It's been fairly obvious for my entire life. It's been fairly obvious for the entire history of the United States. You have to be just completely blind to it, or intentionally making yourself blind to it, to have not known that there were problems. There's kind of not even a legitimate argument to say, well, there was like the O.J. Simpson trial and the Rodney King beatings in the 80s, and then everything just magically got better and everything was perfectly fine at that point. That is still kind of a ridiculous concept to even try to make an argument for. So it just feels extremely weird when talking about the Ubisoft situation and the accusations, which I guess they are going to literally have their day in court, which I have to applaud that. Alright, well, I'm going to deal 2 damage to myself, which to draw 2 cards, which then lets me activate Vengeance. This is the Bloodcraft. He's a vampire. The only thing I think that really is weird about Shadowverse is the fact that the 2 male lead heroes do look a lot more like they're from the anime Berserk or JoJo's Bizarre Adventure or something like that, where all the anime girls look like they're more from just a traditional moe art style anime. So yeah, I really feel like there should have been more stories coming out about Ubisoft, and this might really just be a case of the mainstream video game media literally covering it up until this point, like, and just not doing any investigative journalism or any reporting whatsoever, because there really feels like there should have been somebody that said something about Ubisoft if this has just been going on for this long. But I still have stayed fairly out of it too. I have not been trying to pay attention or get deep into the accusations, and I would say the mainstream video game journalism media still very much are dropping the ball as far as completely enunciating what all the accusations are, or putting it up, putting it out there so people can read it. If I have to go and find the tweets that are hashtag me too on Ubisoft, that's a big mess, and there's no way for me to filter between what are real claims from verifiable former employees or current employees and what are just straight up lies made by people who never even walked into a Ubisoft building.
My lord.
Storm.
Let's defile the battlefield.
You will soon learn.
See, these vampire cards are about the most lewd ones. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Creeks, which says it's a puzzle game. To me, it kind of looks like it might be a bit of a platforming game too.
It won't be long now.
Looks weird, my kind of weird. So it's 1999, English, French, German, Arabic. So I'll put it on the follow list. And there I just lost. I'm not doing too bad though. Honestly. I'm not doing too bad considering how I have literally not built any decks or added any new cards that I've gotten. The game gave me quite a few card packs to open, and we'll probably do a card pack opening video at some point after I do all the single player content. Like, I guess that would be the right move. I'm not sure if I'm going to make that more single player content or live content. Probably live content would be smarter. So this one summons a Pegasus when it dies, but it has to have cooldown for 4. Moving on, TechRaptor has a review for Sword Art Online Alicization Lightcross, which is like the latest season of Sword Art Online, and seems like it was pretty much as bad as all of the seasons after the first couple seasons of it. They say it's a 2.0 between the elongated dull story, the boring and monotonous gameplay, and the frequent and in-your-face technical issues. There is little to redeem Sword Art Online Alicization Lightcross. Fans of the franchise will want to avoid it, and those interested in a bad game won't even be able to get a laugh out of it. Let's see. The pros are that you can insert your original character into a harem. The cons are that it's artificially lengthened story, boring shallow content, tell not show delivery, and it's technically crippled. This is being reviewed by their events editor. Interesting. I don't doubt it though. Like, I'm not gonna say this guy is just like way off the mark on a Sword Art Online game. Most of the Sword Art Online games have been fairly bad. Most of the anime to video game translations have been particularly bad. On a rare occasion we'll get a good Dragon Ball game, but very often there's not a lot of effort put into them. And sometimes it's kind of weird because it's often like Bandai Namco that makes Dragon Quest, and then they also make Sword Art Online games. Like, I think. And so you run into these scenarios where the exact same company, if they cared, can do it, but they just don't care enough to do it. And that really is an argument where video games should stay in their lanes and anime should stay in their lanes. Even though you have a game like Shadowverse here that has an anime art style, I can tell you that the solo story is not interesting enough or good enough to really justify the idea of it having an anime. Let's see. Some 2 Holy Flame Tigers. Can't attack that. But I can attack that. TechRaptor has a look back article here on the original Mario Tennis, a 20-year-old game. I think we will probably start seeing a lot more articles like this, although they don't really have any news or relevancy, and me highlighting other people's articles is not really in my purview, so I will be almost certainly skipping any future articles like that.
The real battle begins.
See, I don't know if that was the right move, but we'll see. Because when I end the turn here, I should get a +1/+1. Don't I?
No!
How much is in it for me?
Doesn't this... Oh, it does it at the start of the turn, not at the end of the turn. Summon a Holy Winged Dragon. Restore 5 defense to an ally. Well, let's not play that, since we don't have any allies to do this. Yeah, I don't see any real reason why you'd want to play Mario Tennis, the original Mario Tennis, when you could play the Switch version,
It won't be long now.
the latest versions.
Luminescence. Stop!
Unless you're just nostalgic for the old ones. I would have a hard time believing people could be super nostalgic for a old sports game when there's been major improvements of newer sports games. Let's see. I'm playing too many artifacts since you only have like 5 spots. Moving on, TechRaptor as an article, the Microsoft Summer Game Feast demos are live now. 60+ demos are now available, including Skycadia. Well, I guess you could probably just read all of these and I'll mention any of them if they strike me as particularly interesting names. Most of these I have not recognized. Destroy All Humans is an actually recognizable game. But Pixel Skater might be a recognizable name of a game, and that's about all I could say about it. Yeah. None of the other ones are recognizable at all. Interesting. So they've released 60 demos for games that I've never heard of. Alright, well, I need this
This wasn't worth it.
to
How much is in it for me?
You need to be careful so that you don't end up losing. I may very end up losing, because if he just evolves one of these, and then yeah, that's a lose condition. It's nice to get something even on a loss. That's something you lost in Hearthstone fairly quickly. Like, and definitely you never had anything like that in Magic. It was just like, oh, you lost, too bad. There's 15 more victories you still need to get today. Oh, you've spent 4 hours playing Magic, too bad. You haven't won once, so keep on playing.
Activate. Enhance. Fire.
You know, at a certain point, playing Magic Arena had taken up so much of my time and set me back so much. I was thinking to myself, maybe even just dropping like a Wednesday stream and only stream on Monday and Friday. And I guess maybe with Shadowverse there might be an argument in which I could pull that off, since it doesn't, I am not certain so far that daily quests stack. But I think I'll try and keep everything the same for now, and I'll think about it more. Particularly if it continues the way it looks like it's going to continue. What turns on resonance? What turns on resonance?
Cleansing mode.
Should have been quicker.
Is resonance activated when you take 1 damage? Okay, so you get resonance when you take damage, I guess. So I can play this or that.
How much is in it for me?
Cleansing mode. You wouldn't.
Let's see. Moving forward, TechRaptor has an article. A game called Chunchi is a hand-drawn beat-em-up coming to PC this fall, which might be interesting. There's the Hat in Time girl. I didn't like a Hat in Time as much as I really wanted to, unfortunately. Like, there definitely was a lot of desire to enjoy it, and I kind of like the character of Hat Kid, but the actual levels and the challenges in the Hat in Time were a little bit frustrating and very often not a Super Mario 64 type game. And I was expecting to play a Super Mario 64 type game because that's what it seems like was being sold as. Maybe that is my own fault for not understanding the product. But yeah, I just felt like what they said, what they sold a Hat in Time as versus what it really was didn't quite match.
Luminescence.
And it kind of was the end of playing several games that I had hoped would be a 3D platforming game, kind of like Super Mario Brothers, and just none of them ever managed to even begin to like, none of them even began to manage to succeed or be
To the city of hopes and dreams. I live by the sword.
be good games on their own. Okay, so this is all going to be about putting puppets in your hand. You can't evolve outside of your turn. In fact, I don't think I've seen Shadowverse have you activate anything outside of your turn. There's no trap cards or anything. It seems like you kind of just have one phase, and in that one phase, your
City of hopes and dreams.
Your game goes. That and that. Oh, I needed to have evolved that first. Well, I boned that up. This will be a 4/4. When I evolve something.
If you're my master, prove it. Cleansing mode.
My lord. Gotcha!
So I could attack that. And I could attack that. I don't want to do that though. Next we have a game on Steam called Xmas Presents, which is a early Christmas game of a very low effort for $7.19, English only. Alright, well. Evolve that.
Welcome to the city of nightmares and despair.
And didn't do this. And didn't do this. And this. And this. And then that. And that. And that.
Wouldn't.
I did try to kind of curate today's games, but I didn't probably do a very good job of it. Next we have a game on Steam called Horror Story Hallowseed, which
Won't be long now.
might be something with some polish on it. You have some dark screenshot syndrome happening here, for sure. And I'm not seeing any interface, so I don't know what kind of game it is, but in this video it does seem like you at some point can try to interact with a car. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's something here or not. But I don't think I want to immediately dismiss it. Let's wait till we get a review at least. It's $8.99 discounted English full audio. Put it on the follow list. Although, frankly, I could probably make a very good argument that I have just way too many horror games already. And probably have a lifetime worth of horror games, and only half of them are probably worth actually playing and mentioning. Deal 3 down. If resonance activated, deal 5 instead. Alright. 5 damage. And this draws a card when it dies.
It's backfired.
If I evolve this, this would be a 7. Let's see. 2 radiant artifacts in the deck. In the turn. Next we have a game on Steam called Liquid Sunshine, which looks like it's a weird game. Weird black and white game. I'm not sure if there's really a game here or more just a comic book, though, because I'm seeing kind of more of a comic book presence than an actual experience. This might very well go too far in the direction of being weird. They want $7.99, and it's English full audio allegedly. Put it on the phone list. Again, being fairly too generous. And there we've got a victory, so we'll just take it. So we got some temporary gems. This game has these temporary gems where you can buy temporary decks.
Seems to be over.
Or temporary cards, which is a weird system. So yeah. As far as my daily quest now, that start in like 3 minutes or 3 hours and 29 seconds. The only thing I need to do is link Shadowverse with another service, which I'll have to do off screen, and play the Take Two in Arena one-time mission. Let's see. So let's go home. So there's this kind of arena, which is the Fortune Rotation Cup, Stage 2 in progress. You get 1 daily free entry, and you have to play with a deck that you actually own, which these are all random decks. So is there anyone I think that would work particularly well? Forestcraft probably not so well, because that's what I tried before. So I'll just try Swordcraft. And so you get locked in, and then you have to do these battles against real people. 5 matches. For every win you get a reward. If I get 3 wins, I qualify for Group B final stage. Group B is the loser's bracket, as it were, since I didn't play in the tournament early enough. But the loser's bracket can get some rewards too. But odds of me winning are very, very low. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Despite government approval, Google has rejected a game called Attentat, which 1942 from the Google Play Store in Germany. So it's like a Nazi themed game of some sort, or at least it has Nazi imagery. A historical game, perhaps, is a better way to phrase that, because nowadays if you say something is Nazi themed, you do give off the impression that it's a pro-Nazi propaganda game, and I'm not sure it really is. We haven't heard a lot of news of games being disallowed on the Google Play Store, which let's be honest, the Google Play Store has been fairly a mess as far as just terrible games and terrible software in general. So they need probably all the things they can get. What does enhance do? If you have enough play points, oh yeah, enhance is you play this for 5 instead of 2, and then you get give a follower storm.
It tastes
Some of these cards have Japanese voices, even though I have the English voices turned on. This is a very good card. At the end of the turn it gets ward, it summons a knight or deals 2 damage to the enemy hero. Alright, so and this summoning to a 5/5 might be the right move.
Elegant and perfectly stunning.
Allied officer follower. This is not an allied officer follower. This can do 2 damage there. And this can do an upgrade. And then attack. Gamasutra has a job listing here. Yacht Club Games is looking for a gameplay programmer in Los Angeles, California. I imagine all that work is going to be remote for a while. One of the beautiful things about not playing Magic the Gathering Arena, unlike Hearthstone, like there was just a lot of tweets coming out from Magic the Gathering Arena directly. There was a lot of YouTube channels of people talking about Magic the Gathering that I was watching, and I've just like been able to unsubscribe from all of that, which is great because I was not even interested in a lot of what was being said as much as I tried to be interested in it.
My friends. Lovely day for a fight.
Let's see.
Elegant and perfectly stunning.
So this is a officer follower because they're all followers. That kind of confuses the issue to call everybody a follower, but yeah, any creature here is a follower, and this is a leader. They're doing some
What a sham!
major synchronization. Alright. Put 2 random Levin cards, excluding Levin Scholar, from your deck into your hand. Or I could put this here. Put a Gilded Boots or Gilded Necklace in your hand. Spend 7 to evolve it. Let's do this one.
It's a curious set of circumstances.
So this Swordcraft is all about the traits. So this is a commander, this is a commander, this is an officer, this is an officer.
Just splendid.
Moving on, Gamasutra has an article. Roblox now has a social party space for online hangouts, which is interesting. You see that Roblox is evolving and adding more content. I wouldn't be upset with that idea in a lot of games. If you've got a fan base, it makes sense to have more social elements. So that's the first loss. Don't worry, we'll probably lose them all. Gematria has an article, Blasphemous. The Stir of Dawn update launches August 4th and adds a new game plus and more. As far as Blasphemous, it was an alright game that got attention for its art style and was talked about for a couple of weeks, and then I think people quickly forgot about it. Which inherently, this is really just the problem with the video game news cycle over and over again, is that you do just constantly have announcements of games. The games come out, they might get a little bit of coverage a week or two after its launch, in the first couple of weeks of its launch window, and then it is just immediately forgotten and has no lasting power. So when I, as a more realistic video game player, somebody who's going to buy games when there's a Steam summer sale or 6 months after the game is out of its launch window, so it's on discount at least a little bit, like when I go and cover a game, there's nobody interested in that game. Even if I was to cover a game, a lot of times when I've covered games that are brand new, there's not even any real interest on the games. So I don't know how you really fix a lot of that, but probably wouldn't help. Would be nice if they could just take a little bit of time back and release fewer games and that are of better quality. This is a custom skin for the dragon, the blood vampire group. So this is not a leader that you get by default. You may have to actually buy it too.
My allies, my friends. Lovely day for a fight.
But yeah, I think you can get it. Oddly, I think you get like these custom skins for leaders by opening packs. The pack opening system in this game is a little weird. Like you get extras, and the extras don't, I think, immediately get turned into the equivalent of dust. They kind of just stick with you until you've opened 400 packs, and then they're labeled as tradables, and you then can at that point trade the tradables for after 400 packs to fill out your collection, I think. Which might be a much better system, frankly, but it's a more complicated system, certainly, and it does seem weird because there is a dust system and there is this tradable system on top of each other. It seems like there's too many, or one too many systems. Moving on, we have a game on Steam here called Drag and Drop Tabletop Multi-Tool, which looks more like a Dungeons and Dragons playfield generator instead of an actual game, like a map builder. It's free to play, so the price is right, and it's English only. Well, at that price, that's fine. Doesn't look like there's any in-app purchases at the moment. There is an argument that spending the $10 to $20 to get Tabletop Simulator may still be the better move, but we would just have to wait and see on that.
Nothing scary with allies by your side.
Let's see. There's this funny position where you very well might just never remember to evolve your creatures, and you should use your evolves. So, need something that would gain something if it evolved. Would be nice. but I don't have anything like that, so.
No one can take you away.
What a sham!
Let's see. Deal X is the number of enemy followers. This is the number of cards in your hand. Okay. I think I have 6 cards in my hand. Nope, I drew 3 first. And then did 3 damage. So I did 9 damage. Next, we have a game on Steam here called Komodo Steve Janitor on Fire. Which, while the name seems to be kind of ridiculous, the game itself looks like there might actually be a game here as far as a platformer and kind of Contra shooter game. It feels fairly reminiscent to Shadow Complex. It's early access, it's $8.99, it's English full audio. I'll put it on the full list and we'll see what it is when it comes out of early access. Alright. We have to an officer. Can do this. What is this? Gives +1/+1. This one gives rush. So I'll need that. And then three damage to a random enemy follower. And do that. And then evolve.
You are done for. I totally got this.
So now we have a 6/5. And then do that. I'm running out of time. The game tends to not give me quite as much time as I would like. Could have played another character and should have.
It tastes better than it looks.
The CEO of YouTube, Susan Wojcicki, promoted a YouTube music, new music project with Amplify London. Organizations receiving grants will include Girls Rock London and All Girl Rock Summer Camp. Again, this is Susan Wojcicki not focusing on the real YouTube, and inherently it goes to show that there is this probable thing that's going to happen in which YouTube stops focusing on YouTube and starts focusing on YouTube music and other things. Gain Storm. If this evolves, this would be a 6/6. If this evolved, it would be a 6/7. Oh, this is already evolved. Right.
Stunningly.
Deal 3 damage to a random enemy follower.
It was nearly done.
And then this.
Let's speed things up.
Then if we evolve this, this will have Storm.
It won't be long now.
There's no time for you too slow.
Yeah, odds of me winning are still low. Techraptor has this expanded Mass Effect art book arriving in early 2021. Mass Effect is a big enough game that I think it's important to mention this book, even though it is an art book for a video game, and typically I wouldn't recognize it or mention it, but yeah, I figured people might actually be interested in that. So that's lost 2. Moving on to lost 3. Almost guaranteed that I'm gonna lose them all. Like I said. Tech Raptor has an article here exploring Aerie and the Secret of Seasons world with X Ian. This looks like an interesting game, but I haven't seen anything about it. That must not be out yet.
Come on.
Looks like really well animated. It releases this September on PC, Xbox One, PS4, and Nintendo Switch. Really well animated. Maybe there's actually a game there, maybe not. Let's see. Next, we have a game on Steam called Blocks, the Hammer of the Scots, which apparently is some kind of board game. I don't know what would really push me to play a board game like this, but I'm willing to think about it. It's $19.99, which is probably gonna outprice it, and it has a bunch of language support. Early access. I'll see what people have to say with it. I'd probably not spend my time on it though. Particularly if it's a board game I don't recognize in any form whatsoever. This next game is tagged sexual content, so let me make sure that the screenshots are YouTube family friendly. Here we have a game on Steam called Sakura Succubus 2. It's $7.49, English and Chinese. The entire Sakura line from Wing Cloud, I believe, is the publisher of the Sakura line of games, although there's 2 or 3 companies that call something Sakura something or other.
We won't give him an inch.
But the entire Sakura line, things that are called Sakura, tend to be particularly bad games. Not awful games. There's way worse, but they do tend to just kind of try and sell on sex and lewdness, and I don't know if they even have actual sex on it. Let's see. I could have played that cheaper.
No one gets past me.
Let's see. Tech Raptor has an article here. Craft and wear masks in VR Adventure Mask Maker, which I imagine this is a very poorly timed game, because I don't think anybody wants to craft or wear masks at this point, even if they have to and are complying with mask orders. This is a full face mask and not just a mouth guard mask, of course, but yeah, that is an unfortunate timing of a game, and it's from the creators of A Fisherman's Tale, if that means anything to anybody. Yeah. Let's see. Put this here.
Elegant and perfectly stunning.
And then this one.
Elegant and perfectly stunning.
No
I'll
one
go
gets past
and
me.
attack with that. And then attack with that. Tech Raptor has an article here. Mechanus is a steampunk adventure in a mechanical ecosystem. Okay, that sounds like an interesting concept. See a giant gear, and the gear seems to just roll around. And then sometimes it scales down as a gear.
Hear me, citizens of Hermopolis.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a game there or not. That seems a little weird if you're just gonna be on rails the whole time. Potentially. Put an allied faller. This is an officer, right? No. This is a commander. And that's a commander. So I need to do this. And then do this.
Close the tome.
If we could increase this one's attack, it would gain storm.
Stunningly. Ow.
But I don't think there's a way to do that at the moment. Let's see. A game called Us2 Games reveals... A company called Us2 Games reveals Alba, a wildlife adventure. This looks like this might be an interesting, like, equivalent to a Pokemon Snap
Mother, father, please.
game. It's from the creators of apparently Monument Valley.
Okay.
Well, there might be something to that. A nature walk type game. So this would do 5 damage. Let's do this.
Tormented this city for too long.
2/6.
You're
Evolve
done for.
to a 4.
The streets have
8.
eyes. Mine.
And
Behind
then
you.
attack here. And then the turn. See. Tech Raptor has an article here. A hand-penciled horror game strikes in Mundawn. I don't think that's mundane. Maybe that is how you spell mundane. I don't know. We got a lot of games that have been announced here, though. Hand-drawn horror
Perfect quality.
would be interesting idea. Certainly. I don't know if the game itself could last or keep my attention that long, because a gimmick art style can only take you so far. Well, I need to draw a card, so I'm just gonna kill this.
Don't leave me! Don't leave me!
And then put this here.
Let's speed things up.
This one has Storm. I could evolve it to make it take more damage.
Too slow.
You're mean.
Here we have a game on Steam called Dig Bombers, which looks like it is
And is it
mostly a Bomberman game with maybe some slight more zoomed in camera mechanics. Looks more single player than most Bomberman clones. But there's really no visual polish there. $3.39. Online PvP only. Bunch of languages.
Disappear like the night.
There's all kinds of synergies happening here, and I don't even know what's going on.
Should have been quicker.
come with us?
Seem to keep summoning a Necrofauna somehow. Can I do this for 7? Or should I do this? I think I want to do this. 816. Same as uninvolved. To any of your turn, randomly deal X damage to enemy or another ally, and then Y damage to this follower. X equals the follower's attack, and Y equals the attack of the follower leader damaged. Do this 2 times.
It won't be long now.
Alright, well, let's see what this does. Does 10 damage, and then it does 10 damage to me. Well, that is a crazy card that I should not play if I don't know how to play it, which clearly I don't. Next we have a game on Steam called Magical Stock Princess, which looks just like a NES era RPG, although maybe not actually made with RPG Maker. Like, I often would like to see a Zelda game that kind of worked like this, but I don't think this is what this really is. This is $2.54, English only. Yeah, and I just don't see enough here that makes me really have faith that it is anything of interest. Let's see. Next we have another game tagged with sexual content. So let me double check all the screenshots. They don't even want to load. Alright, well, we have one called Live on Idle, which is clearly just Unity asset flip cars and models of Asian characters, Asian girls standing next to cars. Requires VR, $25.49. English only. Yep. Pretty much garbage. And what was kind of weird about that is you effectively did have one of those 3D models of an Asian character in effectively a school outfit, and yet it was allowed because it's a low effort Chinese game, question mark, or because nobody's looking. Maybe the game is only allowed for a few days before it gets caught and kicked out, but that's really just a terrible system if that's really how Valve runs their business, and they just let people list games and put them out for public consumption. Let's see. See, next we have a game on Steam called Crystopia Nova's Journey, which looks like some kind of point and click, and it looks like it's visually polished enough that there might actually be a game here. So $9.89. It's not early access. English full audio and several other subtitles. So yeah, that deserves to be on the follow list. We'll find out what people have to say about it. Number of allied followers in play is only 1, so I wouldn't want to activate those spells at the moment. Next we have a game on Steam called Ziggy the Chaser, which might be like a Pac-Man in 3D. Family-friendly 3D platformer is what it's labeled as. See if we can actually see it more in play. Yeah, I'm not sure there's a real game here, but it's $13.99 English full audio. I'll give it a chance. Alright, Rush.
You're trespassing!
I can't sing another note.
Next, we have a game on Steam called Vertigo Remastered. I don't know if there was a game actually called Vertigo before.
Come forth, verdant wind.
It looks like it's a first-person shooter game.
Come to me.
It kind of looks a little asset flippy. But there is just a lot here. If that's really what this is. Apparently there was a game called Vertigo in 2016. This is VR English full audio. So let's see if we can perhaps find the original Vertigo. There's a Vertigo 2 that was supposed to come out in 2020. But I don't see anything labeled Vertigo 1, so they've taken it down. Well, I guess I can just check. We'll just have to see what other people have to say about it. Deal 3 damage.
Feel the impact yet? Raise your blade.
I'm playing very badly because some of these cards have accelerate, which means you play their effect but you don't summon them, and that I'm failing to actually summon the minions that I would need to summon. I'm realizing that now. Next we have a game on Steam called Witch-tastic, which looks like it's a Cook Serve Delicious clone, which I guess I will have to applaud that if you are going to make a Cook Serve Delicious clone, do something different with it. It's $13.49 English full audio. I'd say check this out if you like Cook Serve Delicious, or however, I didn't have any interest in Cook Serve Delicious, so that puts me in a weird position where,
Brother. At your service.
see. And hit that.
'Tis natural for leaves to fall.
And then
Thanks.
evolve.
Done for.
Rally, comrades!
Now we have a
This is our way
3-3. Gamatsu has the Famitsu review scores for this week. And let's see. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2 got 32 out of 40, which means it's average. Fairy Tail got 32 out of 40. Marvel's Iron Man VR, same. Mobile Suit Gundam Extreme versus Maxi Boost On got 33 out of 40. Root Film got 32 out of 40. And then a game called Tengoku no Koneko-chan got 27 out of 40, so that's particularly bad. And Air Missions HIND on Steam, on Switch. No, it actually is HIND on Steam on the Switch. Was 32. So a just whole collection this week of average games, which is about as much as you can expect to see, I think. That was our fourth loss. Let's see. Gematsu has an article here. A Fate Extra remake for Fate Extra Record has been announced for current generation platforms. So, a game spin-off of the Fate series, which is a spin-off of the animes, which is a spin-off of the light novels, is coming out. I actually tried to watch one of the Fate anime series and didn't get very far with it. Did seem like it was kind of just like a battle anime, and I just was not, I guess, in the mood at the time. I just never have a lot of time for that kind of stuff anymore. Perhaps that's why I'm playing anime style games more, or talking about them more. Next we have a game on Steam called Encore Celebrations, which looks like it's a Candy Crush clone, which, if it's cheaper than Candy Crush, there might be an argument to buy it. $6.79, English full audio, 101 levels. Alright, if you really want to play Candy Crush on Steam, but not really Candy Crush, I think Encore Celebrations might be the game for you. Although it seems like it has multiple little mini games on top of just Candy Crush. As I look at the video, although it seems like the Candy Crush is the main focus on all the screenshots, so I would tell them to make up their mind. Need to play this
At your service.
first. See. Grisaia Phantom Trigger Volume 7 as a visual novel is now available on Steam. So, I'm not sure what the Grisaia Phantom Trigger series is all about, but seems like it's more of a gun-centric visual novel. Maybe harem. There's a lot of anime girls with guns for sure. Maybe there's romance in it, maybe there's not. It's $22.49, Japanese full audio and English subtitles. I'll put it on the follow list, and that will help me make simple determinations as far as whether or not that series was on the list of things that I was going to bother to try and cover. As far as visual novels, I'm trying to keep it to a very limited number of visual novels that I actually end up buying and covering, as they tend to be extremely, extremely long.
What a sham! The earth rains from above.
So this is my end.
You can deal 3 damage. Again, I can do this. And then
It takes a thief to catch a thief.
I can do this. And then I guess I can evolve it.
You're done for.
I totally got this. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
And then kill that. Next we have a game on Steam called Shivering Hearts, which It's tagged as a CRPG and a JRPG, and it looks like it's just drawn with markers. I'd almost be into it if I thought this was intentional art decision and that there actually was quality behind it, but I'm fairly certain that's not the case. $7.19, English only. So yeah, I don't know why anybody would even go with the marker art style. It's not like that's the way you would animate or draw anything for a video game. It's not like there's any precedent of any game looking like that and it succeeding. You really are just starting off on the complete wrong foot from the looks of it. Alright. Put this on the field. Could get a couple more 11 cards.
It's a curious set of circumstances.
Gamatsu has an article, Death End Request 2 for PC release date has been moved up to August 18th. The PC version is due out 1 week earlier. I believe this is a Idea Factory JRPG. Yeah. Couldn't tell you if it was good or not as far as the Death End Request series. Right. Give one +1 to all other followers. Can't do that. Draw 3 cards and equal to the number of cards in your hand. I'm left just completely open here. So next we have a game called Labyrinth Legend, which looks like it's a dungeon crawler, maybe a roguelike. They're calling it a hack and slash RPG. Doesn't look particularly interesting. At $5.94 discounted English and Japanese. Alright. Let's go ahead and kill that. And kill that.
Feel the impact yet?
And
My
that.
allies, my friends. Lovely day for a fight.
I'm starting to get sleepy. We may not actually be able to cover all the news today. Oh, I might need to start picking and choosing. Gamatsu has an article here. Spike Chunsoft is going to take over the Danganronpa series publishing in the West. Select Danganronpa titles will no longer be available via NIS America. And we had seen a tweet from NIS America that implied basically the same thing without directly saying that, because clearly they didn't want to. They wanted to get as many sales as possible. There we go. 5 losses. But it gets us a reward regardless. So we get 30 rupees, which I don't think 30 rupees are too bad, actually. Alright, and so I've achieved beginner rank 1, so I can claim that for 100 rupees. Which I can use in the arena, or to buy cards, or to buy supplies, which supplies are kind of their own thing. We got beginner rank 2, which gets me another 100 rupees. And then score rewards. In general, I think I'm just increasing my score by playing the game in general. These vials are the equivalent of dust. The challenge tickets, I'm not even sure what they're for. So, as far as our missions, 2 hours and 40 minutes. Play Take 2 in Arena. So, let's see. Challenge. Pay for an arena entry, play 5 matches, get rewards based on the number of victories. So, Take 2, you pick a pair of cards from 2 pairs presented to you and repeat the process until you have 30 card deck. In Open 6, you build a deck using cards you've obtained from the card packs you've opened. Interesting. So Take 2 is the one we should do. Alright. So I have 7 tickets. I can do this. Otherwise I'd need to spend 150 rupees, which is kind of a lot. And they do this weird thing where they give you a confirmation showing you will go down from 7 to 6. Which is like, yeah, okay, I get that. So do we want to play as Portalcraft or Bloodcraft or Shadowcraft? I think we should go with Portalcraft because that's the only one I've actually succeeded somewhat so far. So, select a pair to add to your deck. We could have a legendary or we can have a gold. I think we want this because this is better. I don't know if we get to keep these cards like in a real draft, but we'll probably want to get cheaper cards to start with. We're gonna just try and rare draft a little bit. This is really silly to be doing this when I don't have a clue what these cards do, and like I could click on them and see, but I think that would just take too much time. So I'll just hope that I know what I'm doing, and by picking rarer cards. Says the article continues, while Danganronpa is developed by Spike Chunsoft in Japan, the company did not establish a Western subsidiary until December of 2017. By that time, the NIS America was already in charge of localizing and publishing the Danganronpa series. So it's all going back to Spike Chunsoft's hands, which is kind of fairly typical for a Japanese company to want to keep all their money to themselves. And that, I guess that's not specifically special to Japanese companies, come to think of it. It could be a great thing. It might be a terrible thing. There definitely have been times in the past where a Japanese company just doesn't know how to localize things, or they just have crazy ideas and they do a much worse job than the company that already existed did. There's probably not a big deal here when I look at the actual games and the removal dates, though, because they're almost all PS4 and PS Vita games, most of which are PS Vita games. Like so these versions of the Danganronpa game may not even really matter to most people. Or I have no idea how many of the Danganronpa games I've purchased or own, if I own any of them.
Love awaits on the ocean floor.
Okay.
Why don't people come to see my dolls anymore? Gotcha.
I haven't seen this overlay, this leader. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Quash, which looks like a three-dimensional Arkanoid.
Come to this.
And really that just looks like it's a two-dimensional Arkanoid in VR for $8.79. Looks very neon-ish and not particularly, I'm never particularly interested in playing something interested in something that neon-ish. Alright. This gives somebody rush. This gives somebody draw a card.
All magic guns can be kind of finicky.
Gotcha.
Let's see.
Do you have what it takes to lead?
Gotta clean up my shop.
Broadcasting live.
Gamasutra has a job listing for Disbelief. They're hiring a programmer in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I feel like Disbelief is kind of always hiring somebody, though. Some of the companies feel like they kind of always are. Alright, I'm gonna play this very prematurely.
Coming at you.
All alone in the ocean.
Give a random puppet in your hand. None of these are puppets. That's the thing. So I could play this. So I should just wait until I have seven mana to play.
You cannot escape the shadow.
Forge yourself.
I do struggle to restrain myself.
Give all other ally followers ward. That would be useful if we had anything. Can we get resonance activated? No.
This is the best of all possible worlds. Begin.
Let's see. Gamatsu has a article, an origami platformer called A Tale of Paper for PS4 launches in 2020. Do we have a video to show us what kind of game this is going to be? Not really.
This is grave.
Well, I got 50 rupees for that. Was that all there was to that, or was there more challenges? Yeah, we have a few more losses we can do in this tournament. That would have been fairly annoying if we had lost immediately and that was just it, you're out. But there are definitely some tournaments that are exactly like that. Check has a review for a game called Panzer Paladin, which we saw this, and it looks very Japanese and very NES. Let's see, what do they have to say about it?
Activate. Enhance. Fire.
They give it a 7.5. The ability to create weapons and the way you use them to fight in this retro platforming is fantastic. The aesthetic for Panzer Paladin is also awesome, but the first half of the game, level design and slow platforming, leaves room for improvement. Pros are great retro aesthetic and sound design, unique weapon system and blacksmith, plenty of different modes. The later half's level design picks up. The cons are sluggish platforming and let's see, you have to play this, I guess. The cons are sluggish platforming, some lacking level design, and easy to lose progress in the last half. So, interesting. I might put this on the fall list, but I'd have to be fairly careful because this does feel like Panzer Paladin feels like a game that might very well be a lot like the Shovel Knight games, which lots of people liked them, but when I tried to play them, I just found them frustrating. And just like some of these old games tend to have this they tend to have this element where they're just too difficult for their own good. See, this barrage brawler only does damage if I have mana left over, which is not likely to happen. Crystallize 1, countdown 2. Then of your turn, put an amazing artifact and an ancient artifact into the deck. Fanfare, deal 4 damage to an enemy follower. I'm gonna play this. And I'm just gonna end the turn. Gamatsu has an article. The adventure RPG roguelike Crown Trick launches for Switch and PC in Q3 of 2020. Haven't heard anything about a game called Crown Trick. It looks like a roguelike dungeon crawler. Looks like it's got some visual polish to it. Looks like there might be a game here. Okay. Looks cool enough. I'm skipping over games that it came out so we can wrap up a little bit faster. Gamatsu has an article here. Persona 5 Royale sales top 1.4 million and Persona 5 Scramble, the Phantom Strikers, top 480,000. So they're still hyping up the numbers. And it was only like a week ago that they were doing the same thing. See, if I was to play this, Can we do anything with that? Says at the end of your turn, put a copy of random allied follower destroyed this match that cost X points into your hand. X equals the remaining play points. So I think that would work if I just end this turn. A game is available on Xbox One called Jisei The First Case HD, which this is basically the first visual novel I've seen that has been released on Xbox. There almost certainly have been tons of them. It's just the first one I've seen, or that I can recall. And so it certainly caught my attention. What also caught my attention is a game called Turok Escape from Lost Valley is available on Xbox One. And looking at the art, it seems to be like a spin-off Turok game, not a mainline Turok game or a release of an old Turok game. In what can be only described as a very weird crossover, World of Tanks console update 5.0 introduces WWE themed tanks, wrestling themed tanks. That is pretty crazy. Yeah. But I imagine World of Tanks doesn't really care either. Put a puppet in the hand, and then do doll operation, and then now. Put this on the field. Put this on the field. And then attack.
But I walked the edge.
No.
Here we have a 5-1 with Rush. Yeah, and I don't think I can attack, so in the turn. The Square Enix new company that they formed called the Balan Company, B-A-L-A-N Company, is going to announce their first project a couple of hours after an Xbox presentation that's going to happen. So the Xbox presentation, I think, is mostly going to be focused around Microsoft announcing Microsoft products, though, so I don't know if this is going to mean that the Square Enix Balan Company is going to announce a PlayStation exclusive to try to steal the thunder, or if they're going to announce something that's multi-platformed, or if they're announcing something that just is completely unrelated to the to the Xbox presentation. But yeah, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time on July 23rd. A action game brand title. So that's an announcement for an announcement, effectively. Which is, that's exactly what it is, actually. Alright, now. Put a puppet in your hand and give it Bane. Sure.
Behold my newest creation, Julie.
Should I evolve?
Coming at you.
Oh my, some craftsmanship.
Let's see. Next, a game called Alt Deus Beyond Chronos launches for the Oculus in Q4 of 2020. Debut trailer details and screenshots. This is the first game I've really seen that's coming out for Oculus, and it's a follow-up to Tokyo Chronos, which is very anime, which also seems very weird for that to be coming out for the Oculus Rift. Quite an experiment it seems like it's going on. But I think it's fairly unrealistic to think that somebody who is a fan of Tokyo Chronos is going to jump out and spend a couple $100 extra for an Oculus Rift or Oculus headset of any kind to play it. I don't know if the Japanese are ever going to embrace VR. Because they kind of have to inherently embrace they kind of have to inherently embrace the general concept of a PC gaming first. Gamasutra has an article here. Riot Games creative director Jason Killingsworth has departed the studio to expand his publishing company Toon and Fairweather, which he worked on League of Legends games. Riot is in part owned by Chinese companies, so I wouldn't be surprised if there was more stories behind him leaving, but at the moment it seems like he's just leaving under his own choice and under no cloud, so that's about as good as you're gonna get as far as a departure in a video game company these days. Gamatsu has the Halo Infinite box art, which normally I wouldn't talk about box art, but Halo Infinite is kind of popular, so that does seem like something that people might be interested in. NHL 21 is delayed and there will be no next gen version according to Tech Raptor, which alright. So no hockey games for the hockey fans out there. This is evolved, so I can play this, give it ward, then draw a card, and gain ward myself. No artifacts have been destroyed. Draw a card, rush.
All magic guns can be kind of finicky.
Interesting. I can't do anything because
Not here. Not now.
do I want to evolve this to a 4/4? Or evolve this to a 5/3?
You're through.
Tech Raptor has an article here. Final Fantasy XIV free trial has been expanded and a new patch trailer is live, or Maybe a new patch is live and the trailer is live. For Final Fantasy XIV, not to be confused with Final Fantasy VII Remake. See, a game called Bite the Bullet launches August 13th for the Switch and PC and August 14th for Xbox One. Seems to be a run and gun shoot 'em up kind of Contra game. By the looks of it, yeah, definitely seems like a Contra clone. It doesn't inherently mean it will be bad, but it does seem fairly obvious what you would be getting. A different Fate game, Fate Extella, the Umbral Star, and Fate Extella Link are now available for iOS and Android in Japan. So a couple more Fate games on top of the remake of the old Fate game. Let's see. This, and I can't evolve this, so all I can do is do that. Game 1, attack and rush, which is only about as useful as doing that. Gamatsu has an article here for PC, PS4, and smartphone. Genshin Impact due out by October for PC, iOS, and Android. A second closed beta test for PS4 begins July 30th. Genshin Impact is a game I've heard of, but I wouldn't have immediately associated it with a little elf anime girl. So, it's an open world action RPG. I could just save myself some time and quit now, but we'll keep playing. Try at least. So that leaves us with just games that came out on Steam to talk about. Now that I've covered all the news, at least for the moment. Here we have a game on Steam called Elemental Echoes that looks like it's just an RPG Maker game. It's $4.99, English only. Let's see, play that and that. And keep that. Yeah, if you go second, you also draw 2 cards at the beginning. And the mulligan in this game is a different system because you can trade out any number of the 3 original cards you draw, but you can't mulligan a second time. And so you need a fairly balanced deck of something you can play on the first turn. Otherwise you're gonna waste your time.
The light will find you.
We have Rock of Ages 3 Make and Break available on Steam. You can see it's already rated mixed. And I didn't even like Rock of Ages 1, so I don't see a real reason why I would want to play Rock of Ages 3. It's $29.99, which is particularly expensive. English full audio. See if we can see maybe a reason why it's... As it stands, this is the buggiest Rock of Ages game I've played. Needs a lot of work just isn't fun like the others. And as far as I think if the levels that are not main story are forced to play, let's see, what can we do? Play this? Or do we want to play this?
All magic guns can be kind of finicky. That didn't go well.
So yeah.
Gotta clean up my shop.
There's another review here that says unbearably broken. So it seems like there's some fairly hardcore fans of the Rock of Ages series, and they are not satisfied with it. Let's see. Put that in the field. And then, so do we want to evolve? It's probably a mistake, but doing that gets rid of that person. Next we have a game on Steam just called Shooting Arena VR, which just looks like a shooting arena in VR. Doesn't look particularly special. Early access requires VR, $5.99, which is a little too cheap for VR. So fanfare enhance. There is something to be said about what does this do? At the start of your turn, put a puppet in your opponent's hand. Ooh, interesting. There's something fairly nice about this game in the fact that it doesn't have really a graveyard. Not one that you really would think about.
Gotcha.
You have a list here of the number of things that have died, but there's basically no graveyard to look at. There's basically very few cards that summon anything out of the graveyard. It's just not a part of the play. They've just simplified things. Play that. And I don't know if there's an upgrade. Anything here? And I could upgrade this to a 3/5 and attack. I can do this. What does this do? Yeah, this is just terrible effects for him. Rush at the end of your opponent's turn, destroy this follower.
Gotcha.
That may have been a mistake to kill that character.
To arms, brother.
At your service.
Put a puppet in your hand and give it Bane.
Behold my newest creation, Julie.
And put that on the field.
Twice the training.
Now the fight begins.
Do I think I have a chance here?
Don't you pull your claws out at me, mister.
Next we have a game on Steam called 5D Chess with multiversal time travel, which in theory that might be very interesting, but in practicality it might be just an impossible to understand and play game. So reviews would have to heavily influence my decision here. $9.59 English only. Could also just be a particularly just low effort game selling itself as something a lot bigger than it is. Put 2 puppets in your hand, then give them +4 +0. Alright. So 5-1 and 5-1. And then attack. And attack. Why did that not die?
Cruel end.
Craftsmanship.
In the turn.
This is great.
Next we have a game on Steam called San Diablos, which looks like an asset flip horror first person shooter. It's free, so I guess the price is right. English only. And we lost yet again. Still 2 matches. 5 matches is a little much to do both an arena and a take 2. I normally won't be doing this much, certainly. Level by Level Gaming says, hello, Rydo. Hey, Level by Level Gaming. Trying to wrap up here. We'll probably go for a couple more games and that'll be it.
Activate. Enhance. Fire.
The artifacts obey me.
Next we have a game on Steam called Connect X, which looks like it might be an interesting, like, connect the dot in 3D concept. $4.99 might be a little too expensive though. English only. I'll give it a follow. We'll see if anybody plays it. 50 levels at $5 is a little high. Yeah, if I wasn't doing a couple extra things today, I would have been probably done with the news and done with needing to do everything in this game at the same time, which that often was not the case with Magic the Gathering Arena. I'm just gonna put that on the field. Next we have a game on Steam called My Little Horror, which is suffering from dark screenshot syndrome. You have here a guy or a zombie getting chopped up by the player. The player also has guns. And he's shooting things. Yeah, there might be a game here. Normally you wouldn't see a game that both has axes and guns. This is free to play, English full audio. So I guess check it out if you're interested. My Little Horror probably isn't that great, but you get what you pay for. Do this.
Gotcha.
And then do this. Necro Barista is now out on Steam. Oddly, not on my fall list, for as much as it's been hyped and talked about. It's gonna be weird because there's a decent chance that people won't even have played this visual novel by next week, even though it's fairly hyped and it's made by a Western developer, which definitely increases the odds of Western video game critics to really cover it. But there are some problems with it, certainly. Its art style is different from a standard visual novel, which makes it interesting. But it's still a visual novel, and it's $16.99, which is too expensive by a Westerner's perspective for a visual novel, but actually fairly cheap by a Japanese visual novel fan's perspective. Which is to say that a lot of visual novels sell for $20, $30, $40. Let's see. At the end of your opponent's turn, destroy this follower. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's actually a genius reason to have puppets, considering they get destroyed at the end of a turn. Okay. Trying to figure out what would be the best card to play. Possibly that, and then that, and then that. Which then buffs this up to like a 5/1. Then do this. Do we want to spend a 5/1 to take out that guy? I don't think so. Next we have a game on Steam called Sniper Shooting Alpha Strike, which looks like a mobile game. Looks fairly generic and asset flippy. $1.19, English full audio allegedly. Level by level gaming. Put an emoji. I can't read it. Let me see. No, it was Saad Al Malki said hi, and then he put an emoji with where a little guy is doing a dab, I believe. Alright, let's see. This. Wow. So, I can only assume YouTube actually announced that I was streaming today.
All magic guns can be kind of finicky.
I wouldn't be surprised if it literally was a case that YouTube only promotes gaming YouTubers when they play new games after a while, and they just straight up ignore any announcements or notifications of the same game or old games. Here we have a game on Steam called Booth, which looks to be kind of like a point and click adventure, kind of pixely. I don't know if there's really a game here or if this is just a edgy troll game. $8.69, English and Chinese. I'll put it on the follow list. I'll give it a chance. We'll see what the reviews say. Of course, if it is an edgy troll game, it may very well get reviewed very well when it really shouldn't be. Guess what we'll do is play this on the next turn, and maybe this will work. Let's see if we do this and then evolve this up. And then what do you want? Otherwise, yeah, I oddly cannot play these cards. See. Next we have a game on Steam called Quiz Pro Guest Pictures, which is literally just a Wheel of Fortune game, basically, or something similar to Wheel of Fortune without the wheel. Well, I guess it's just Hangman, really. I'm surprised you don't see more low effort games like this, because it would be fairly easy to make. $2.39 English only. I'm not recommending the game by any means, but it is kind of surprising. You totally wrecked me.
Now the fight begins.
Let's go and attack that. I've got a couple more puppets. And yeah, I can put puppets on the field but they wouldn't be able to do damage. Level by Level Gaming says, hello Syad on the chat. Let's see what this guy does. Put a puppet into your hand. That's not going to be helpful. Let's see, we can do this. We can do this. We can do this. And this could put a wheel of misfortune if we had a resonance. But we don't. So we wouldn't want to do that. See, next we have a game on Steam called Operation Serpens, which looks like a VR shooter game. Looks very bad. Really? It seems like you're just standing in an elevator shooting people. English only. It's fairly weird that it takes so much time to lose in a game like this, because it's hardly like I'm playing well. Just trying to... And see, at that point I have literally nothing I can do. I have no more cards. Here we have a game on Steam called Dr. Atominius, which looks like it's an itch.io game. And yeah, it looks like a very low quality simplistic platformer for $4.49 English only. See, and I imagine a game like this might be free on itch.io, so why is it selling for $5 on Steam? Alright, last chance.
Behold my newest creation, Julie.
Here we've got somebody with Bane. Let's just fight there. Evolve here.
Oh my, so many visitors to craftsmanship.
Next we have a game on Steam called Locked, which looks like a Western visual novel. I don't know if it's quality though. It seems like they're really just showing you one girl and then a lot of nothing. Yeah, it seems like there's literally only one animation of one girl. It's $1.69. It's English and Russian. Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see some reviews for it, but I'm being very picky there. Pickier than I should be.
Twice the training.
This obviously is not going to win the game for me to have that one card. Let's see, next we have a game on Steam called Greedy Dungeon, which looks like a dungeon crawler game, card based of some sort. $1.39, and let's see, English full audio with a third-party EULA. I kind of want this to be good, but I suspect the answer to that is no. But I'm being very generous here today, and I'm going to give everything way more chances. We have one more loss we need, and then that'll be the end of the stream. Meanwhile, we have a game on Steam called Ties, which looks like it's just a bunch of colorful plants. And that seems like that might be the entire game as far as all they've got to show. No, I guess you do some platforming and jumping around the colorful plants. This is free. I wonder if it's a student project. It's English full audio. Well, it must be extremely simplistic since it's just completely free. And they only showed the main character's face at the very end of the presentation of the trailer. And with that, there literally is nothing more for me to talk about, so I'll have to check the Humble Bundle and see if there's a new Humble Bundle. Looks like there is. We have a Daedalic Entertainment 2020 Humble Bundle, which for $1 you get Night of the Rabbit, Fire, and A Year of Rain. For more than the average of $8.16 you get Cryofall, State of Mind, The Great Perhaps in Air, none of which I think of those games are particularly great. If you pay $15 you get Eratus, Lord of the Dead, The Suicide of Rachel Fowler, which might be a good game, Iron Dagger, and The Pillars Fall, Ken Follett's The Pillars of the Earth. So at the 15 level, there might be an argument to buy that, but I'm not thinking that there's really great offers there. In fact, there's quite a lot of Daedalic things not listed there. A lot of point-and-click adventures that perhaps they don't want to be remembered as the creators of the Deponia series or several of those other point-and-click adventures that never went anywhere. Just not sure about which one to play here, if anything.
Gotcha.
And here's a new leader that I don't recognize. There's actually quite a lot of leaders. I think the fact that by opening packs you have a chance of getting a new leader skin that allows a lot of players who want to stay free to play to actually have different leader skins, whereas I found the leader skins equivalents in Magic Arena to be boring, and in Hearthstone they were so few and far between that you were unlikely to really see anybody playing with the different skins, and they were fairly boring too. yeah,
Big trouble now.
I don't think there's any more game bundles. There's a book bundle for Raspberry Pi and programming for makers, and a game creator software bundle, but no actual video game bundles other than the Daedalic bundle. So put that on the field. And I don't know if there's a real reason to wait, but we'll see. Yeah, I really still can't wrap my head around how successful this is with the tit for tat. Like, it does seem to work way better than you would think it would. So that brings me back to my Twitter feed. I have a TechRaptor article here that says Ubisoft Next Gen game prices will remain at $60 for now, which, yeah, I imagine a lot of companies will enjoy saying they will be $60. But then I suspect
Could never set foot in the sun.
we will like kind of quickly see them raise the price up more. Do I want to evolve this one to try to hope to keep it alive?
Coming at you.
A lot of the evolved forms of these cards are just flipped and maybe slightly changed, but it's not really a big problem considering how you are effectively getting at least a small variant of every single card for free, and there doesn't seem like there's too many cards that have any other kind of variants. There are a few that are animated, but they seem to be fairly limited, and only the top tier rarity cards, the so like in comparison to Hearthstone, I don't think every card has a oops, that was a mistake. I don't think every card has a gold variant like Hearthstone does. And Magic had like crazy numbers of variants of a lot of cards, and most cards had at least one or two variants. Let's see. So I'm like scrolling down my Twitter feed and seeing if there's any new news that has happened in the past 3 hours. Alright. This is one that can actually succeed. To evolve that. And then we play this. And then this. And this. Kill that. And kill that. And kill that.
But I walked the edge.
And then end the turn.
Crystal balls just don't cut it anymore.
Still scrolling down my Twitter feed. Apparently, according to Gamma Sutra, Ubisoft has a five-pronged plan to address the studio's culture of misconduct. 5 prongs, alright. It almost certainly, if the 5 prongs is not to fire the 5 top managers, then I don't know what you're gonna really accomplish. Like, really, the fish rots from the head in this scenario, I think, more than most. Let's see, what else can we do? Evolve for 0 evolution points.
Activating Omotail. All systems stand by.
And then this.
All magic guns can be kind of finicky.
Omotail, all systems. We're going into
Then
overdrive.
this. And then this.
Why did it turn off?
Going supersonic.
And then end the turn. So we had one game come out, well, in the past 3 hours, one called Motor Ride Roller Coaster VR, which is just a VR game where you're riding a roller coaster, it looks like. Looks fairly asset flippy for $4.49. English only.
We're on red alert. Repeat, we're on red alert.
And then TechRaptor has Samurai Jack Battle Through Time, release date set for August of 2020. Apparently no specific day.
No interest in anything but
Gotta clean up my
It will launch for $39.99. August 21st, 2020 was the actual day. See, transform that, and then play that,
Which fighter can go the distance?
then end the turn. TechRaptor has an article, pretend you're Greenpeace in Eco Warrior Simulator. Okay. That might be an interesting idea, although I'm not sure what the real gameplay mechanic around that would be. TechRaptor has an article here. Risk of Rain 2 launches in its 1.0 version on August of 2020. We have a specific date, August 11th.
At last I will be anointed.
I'm about to lose.
this is grave.
Yeah, and that's all the news that happened in between. So I'm like ready to wrap up just as soon as I redeem these rewards. So what did we get? A Verdict Conflict card pack ticket. Okay. So I am fairly set up in a weird position this is a nice feature. It just a way to look at the card pack that you like the most, or the deck you like the most. I'm in a weird position where, like, in between streams I need to do the solo experience, which has this just like super long 9-chapter story with about 10 levels per chapter that you have to do 8 times for each of the 8 leaders. When it says 0 of 8 leaders completed, at some point I think the leaders split into 2 groups, and then you only have to do it 4 times. But there's just like a ton of solo experience that I'm gonna have to pre-record and release that kind of as its own special series. Meanwhile, the daily missions are going to have me this is gonna like reset in an hour and 30 minutes, and it's gonna have me do another arena thing almost certainly. And even if it doesn't have me do another arena thing, it'll have me try and win 3 games, which is not super hard to win 3 games. At some point I need to be able to figure out how to build a deck that is actually playable, and before I need to do that, I need to use all of the rewards I have to buy cards, and these supply things are just sleeves and leaders, and like you can get the leaders with tickets, but you can also get the leaders simply with I thought gold, but maybe not. Maybe you get them by opening packs. There's a lot of crossover from other anime series that people may not recognize. So there's a lot of stuff here. And Street Fighter is like the weirdest one. But there was kind of some free stuff also. And yeah, there's just a ton of stuff to do. I'm gonna be busy for a while. Well, that's gonna be it for this stream. I'm very happy to see people. 3 people at the same time is kind of like a record for the past few months on the chat, and hopefully this is the beginning of a new trend, and hopefully this is the beginning of YouTube actually recommending my videos. That's it for the stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.